everyone, so I'm going to catch up on some reviews. It's summer, so I'm not teaching as much, which means I have a little bit of time for reviews. These aren't my shoes, just a disclaimer, these are my daughter's shoes, but she does love them, and there are some differences. They're the Eurostretch, and I have tried the European Balance, and there are some significant differences, so I just thought I would kind of share what I have found, and hopefully it helps somebody out there. I am in my studio, so I apologize for any echoing or other strange sounds that might make their way into the video, but it's summer and there's lots of noises. So, okay, so the European stretch, the Eurostretch. So she normally wears a single X in Bloch. So if she was to wear the Lease or any of the other shoes that she's worn before, they were almost always a single X. She ended up with a 3X in the Eurostretch. I think after it broke down, we talked about it, she probably needed a 2X. She did have to use a liner after the shoes started to break down. But just be aware that the Eurostretch does run a little bit narrower, which is really good news for those of us that can barely wear Bloch because our feet are narrow. So I definitely want to try the shoe at some point. But it has a split sole. This is kind of deceiving because it's really only a split outer sole. The shank is very intact. It's a typical shank, has the red board underneath. This is more for aesthetic purposes in my opinion, but it's a really nice, it looks nice on the feet. It's a nice shoe. I would say it has a medium profile. It's definitely higher than like the Lease, the Hannah, what else have we tried? The Axiom. The European Balance, I don't know. I think it's probably comparable to the European Balance in profile as far as how high the box is. But it is not like a super high profile shoe. So if you have really, really nice high profile and your feet are super substantial, I'm not sure if it would work for you. It's hard to say. Like I said, it's not super low, but it's not like a really, really high profile shoe either. Pretty medium. The platform is, it's definitely somewhat tapered, but it's a very generous platform. It's a very wide platform. I would say, yeah, medium to wide. It's not gonna, if you have pretty significantly tapered toes, this shoe is probably not a good fit. And then I love the stretch fabric. So I'm not sure why it feels like it runs so much narrower. It could be because the fabric is extremely thick and very stretchy. It has this nice like heel cap where you can see, I'm trying to show you, it's a different material, kind of like a suede to keep it from slipping, which is really neat. So it has the liner, the normal liner that you would have in most Pointe shoes here. It has like a suede heel cap to keep the heel up. And then lower, it actually has, this is like almost like a jersey knit. It's like super stretchy and it's separate, like you can see it's super stretchy and separate from the satin on the outside. And then the satin on the outside, of course, has a lot of stretch too, so you can see it doesn't bunch on your heel or do anything weird, which is really nice. It's a very streamlined shoe. It's very pretty on the foot. I haven't worn it, so I can't tell you how I feel about these two different pieces of leather. I suspect that it would be hard to balance on flat, like for promenade, but it's, like I said, I haven't worn it, so I can't really speak to that. I can only speak to what I see and what I've seen with my daughter wearing it. So yeah, overall, it's beautiful. It's a little bit higher on the sides than some of their shoes, so you can see this here is a little bit higher. Like for instance, I have the Lease right here, and that you can see the difference. Like here, and how this heel comes up and then it drops versus this just going straight across. So it goes up a little bit, but this actual side appears to be a little bit higher to me. But I could be wrong. It had a little foam toe pad that was glued in. She ripped it out. I'm not a fan. Some people love it. I feel like it's just one more thing that your toe can cram into. So if your shoe is fitted properly through the metatarsals and the wing, you should not need that, because that means that you're sinking enough for you want to feel the floor, but you don't want your feet to be like cramming into the floor. If you like your shoes very tight, which I do as well as my daughter, that extra little like very thin foam is usually enough to make the shoe feel too tight. So she fits a tight shoe, I fit a tight shoe. I think it's like a maybe connective tissue thing where you want a little extra support, which is why I love this stretch idea. But we both rip it out whenever it's there. Some people like it, so I'm sure that it's a plus for some people. It's easy to remove if you don't like it, so it's not the end of the world. The material is interesting. So really quick, when it starts to break down, it does like this run thing. So that was something that actually one of her friends advised. You can see it on the side, maybe, if I get it close enough. I'm trying to make it where it's focused, maybe. But basically it's kind of like nylon in that if you don't darn this whole thing, when you get a hole, the fabric runs because it's a stretch material. So the fabric actually will run up the side of the shoe. Some people probably don't care, but it's just something to note. If you're a darner and you don't want the fabric to run like nylons, you can just darn the whole tip of the shoe. So yeah, hopefully this helps somebody out there. I would say the shank is pretty flexible. It looks to me like it's pre-arched possibly. It's a little bit higher profile than like the lease. Here, let's put them next to each other so you can see. Yeah, that's pretty significant. And this is even built up inside. The lease is like built up inside and this is not. So that gives you an idea of the shape of this shoe compared to other shoes. The vamp is definitely a lower vamp, which is a plus for my daughter, but it depends on the person and their shoe, their foot type. But you can see that's pretty significant. So I think that the Eurostretch vamp is definitely lower than medium. I'd say it's a lower vamp. So hopefully this helps somebody out there. I still have to do the Sauté and the Échappé review. We've tried those. I want to do those. I want to do the Baroque, and I need to do the Enigma from Vertis as well. So I plan on doing that. So those are all coming in the next few weeks. Also, there's a amazing little handy trick on how to tie one loop and wrap it in a way that there's no twisting or any of the twisting or bunching. And so maybe I'll do a video on that too, because it's kind of cool because it makes everything so fast if you have to do a quick change. So we'll talk about that too in the coming weeks. So lots of fun things to come. Hopefully this helps somebody out. That was the Bloch Eurostretch. Runs a little narrow, that's the main thing to keep in mind, and it's lower vamp, broader platform, and it's a really good shoe. It's worth checking out. Always try them on at your local dance store though. So hopefully this helps somebody. Thanks.